thrilling New Year countdown. Jungkook crying, Jimin leaning his head on his shoulder, loudly crying face, revolving heart sparkles fans melt. The countdown clock loomed overhead, its red digits blinking down like a heartbeat racing toward some inevitable fracture. "Ika!" Jungkook's voice cracked, barely audible over the roar of the crowd and the pulsing music that vibrated through the stadium floor. His hands trembled as they gripped the edge of the stage, nails digging into the cold metal, and for the first time, the usual mask of perfection cracked, revealing raw, unfiltered vulnerability. Jimin noticed immediately. He had been standing just behind Jungkook, ready to cue the next line of their performance, but something in the sudden collapse of Jungkook's composure froze him in place. Without thinking, he stepped closer, letting his head gently rest against Jungkook's shoulder. The warmth of that small gesture was electric, a silent reassurance in the midst of chaos, yet it stirred emotions deeper than either of them had anticipated. The crowd didn't see the nuance. They only saw Jungkook's shoulders shaking, the glimmer of tears reflecting the stage lights, and Jimin's serene, steadfast presence beside him. Fans screamed into their phones, desperate to capture the moment, to hold onto the intimacy that seemed almost forbidden in its intensity. The air was thick with anticipation, the scent of fireworks and sweat blending into a heady perfume of exhilaration and despair. "You're not alone," Jimin murmured, voice trembling just slightly, a confession barely audible over the last seconds ticking away. His words carried weight, unspoken histories and unshared fears, but in that instant they were enough. Jungkook inhaled sharply, a bitter, sweet mixture of relief and panic washing over him. The lights above flared as the countdown reached 0. Explosions of color cascaded through the stadium, confetti raining down like snow. Yet for Jungkook, the world had narrowed into a single aching point of connection. Jimin's warmth, the press of his head against Jungkook's shoulder, grounded him in a way nothing else ever had. He let the tears fall freely now, unashamed, every droplet a release of months of pressure, of exhaustion, of fears too heavy to carry alone. Jimin's hand found Jungkook's, their fingers intertwining instinctively. It was a touch both tender and fierce, a promise that no matter how overwhelming the world outside became, they had each other. The crowd's roar became a distant hum, replaced by the silent language of shared breath and the unspoken acknowledgement of how fragile yet powerful human connection could be. Time seemed to suspend, the moment stretched into eternity as they held onto each other. Jungkook's head finally leaned into Jimin's shoulder, a quiet surrender, while Jimin whispered reassurances that only he could understand. The music swelled again, a melodic reminder of the world outside this bubble of intimacy, but neither moved. They existed solely in the warmth of each other's presence, a fragile fortress against the storm of emotions threatening to overwhelm them. Around them, lights flashed, fans cheered, and the first fireworks of the new year illuminated the night sky. But the most breathtaking spectacle was here, between two souls standing vulnerable and unguarded. And in that shared silence, amidst the chaos and celebration, Jungkook found an unexpected solace, one he hadn't realized he'd been yearning for, one he hadn't dared hope to claim. By the time they finally stepped apart, their eyes met in a glance heavy with understanding, the air still crackling with unspoken emotion. Jungkook's tears had left tracks, shining under the lights, but he smiled faintly, a small, fragile promise that he would endure. Jimin mirrored him, the weight of his presence offering both comfort and quiet strength. In that instant, the new year wasn't just a passage of time. It was a declaration, a vow unspoken that no matter what challenges awaited, they would face them together. And somewhere in the vast expanse of the stadium, every fan who had witnessed the moment felt it. The raw, beautiful intimacy that transcended performance, leaving hearts trembling and eyes misted with the magic of what had just unfolded. The echo of fireworks still hung in the air like smoke, curling around the stage lights and drifting into the night sky, but the warmth between Jungkook and Jimin had barely settled before the world crashed back in. The backstage corridor was dim, claustrophobic, scented faintly of perfume and antiseptic, and Jungkook's pulse thundered in his ears as they moved through it. You shouldn't have seen me like that," Jungkook muttered, voice rough, his hand still gripping Jimin's briefly before letting go. His gaze flickered nervously toward the heavy metal doors at the end of the hall, as if the shadows themselves might judge him. Jimin's head tilted, an eyebrow raised, lips curling into the faintest smirk. Seen you like what? Crying, vulnerable. He stepped closer, filling the narrow corridor with his presence. Kookie, you think I don't notice when you're holding everything inside? You think I don't know that sometimes you can't breathe without me? The words hit Jungkook like a spark against dry wood. His chest tightened, and he swallowed hard, trying to find control over the emotions still clinging to his voice. You don't get it, Jimin. Everyone's watching, the cameras, the fans, if they see me weak. It's. His hands trembled, clenching into fists at his sides. Jimin's hand shot out suddenly, catching Jungkook's wrist, steadying him. No one sees what matters, Kookie, not really, not if you don't let them. His voice was low, urgent, pressing against the fragile walls Jungkook had built around himself. I see you, all of you, even the parts you think are broken. Jungkook's breath hitched. It's dangerous, Jimin, for both of us. The words were barely more than a whisper, but Jimin caught them, leaning so close that their foreheads nearly touched. And what if it's not? Jimin challenged, his voice sharp now, charged with frustration and longing all at once. What if the danger is exactly why we need to hold on? His hand slid down, brushing against Jungkook's arm, deliberate, leaving a trail of heat that made Jungkook shiver. The corridor suddenly felt smaller, the air thicker, charged with unspoken tension. Jungkook tried to look away, tried to focus on anything else. The lights blinking down the hall, the distant hum of the PA system. But Jimin's presence pulled him in like gravity, relentless and undeniable. You don't even know what I'm feeling, Jungkook said finally, voice breaking, desperate. You don't know how many nights I lie awake thinking I'm not enough, that... He cut himself off, pressing his hands to his face, hiding the tears threatening to spill again. Jimin's grip was gentle but firm, lifting Jungkook's hands from his face, forcing him to meet his gaze. Stop saying that. You are more than enough, Kookie, and if anyone tells you otherwise, I'll make them regret it. His words were fierce, protective, and there was a raw heat in them that made Jungkook's heart hammer so violently he thought it might burst. They stood like that for a moment, the world shrinking until it consisted only of their shared breath, their racing hearts, the faint sheen of sweat and the electric tension between them. Then, unexpectedly, a sharp knock at the door startled them both. Jungkook jumped, stepping back instinctively, and Jimin's hand lingered just long enough to brush against his waist before dropping. It's probably just staff, Jungkook said, trying to steady his voice, but the tension hadn't left his body. His pulse was still erratic, and the adrenaline of exposure, the raw vulnerability, hadn't faded. Jimin's eyes narrowed, studying him, and then softened. Kookie, you're shaking. You can't hide it, not from me. He leaned forward again, pressing his forehead against Jungkook's briefly, a grounding gesture. Whatever you're afraid of, whatever's eating at you, I'll face it with you, even if it kills me. Jungkook swallowed, the confession clawing at the back of his throat. I'm scared, Jimin. Scared that if people really see us, it'll ruin everything. Our image, the fans, everything we've worked for. His voice dropped to a near whisper, laden with desperation. Jimin's lips curved into a slow, knowing smile, mischievous yet tender. Then let them see it. Let them see this, he said, stepping even closer, brushing his lips just against the corner of Jungkook's ear, sending a shiver down his spine. Let them see us unafraid, because this is real, and no one can take it away. Jungkook's knees nearly buckled under the intensity of the moment. The mix of fear, desire, and relief collided inside him in a way that made his chest ache. He reached out, fingers trembling, to touch Jimin's face, feeling the warmth of his skin, the small, reassuring smile playing on his lips. You're insane, Jungkook breathed, voice low. But there was no accusation in it, only awe, longing, and an almost desperate need for the closeness they shared. And you love it, Jimin replied, voice teasing, confident, yet layered with sincerity that left Jungkook breathless. Admit it, Kookie. Jungkook's lips parted, and for the first time in months, he allowed himself to be utterly, completely exposed. I do, he whispered, each word carrying the weight of months of denial, fear, and longing. I can't hide it anymore. Jimin's smile widened, victorious, almost predatory, yet tender as he cupped Jungkook's face with both hands. "Good," he murmured, "because neither of us should have to." The knock at the door came again, more insistent this time, a reminder that the outside world, the fans, the schedules, the expectations, was still waiting. But for once, neither of them stepped back. They were both too immersed in the gravity of their connection, the storm of emotion that made the world outside fade to gray. Jungkook's hand slid over Jimin, fingers intertwining, holding on as if letting go would undo the fragile, fiery bond they had just solidified. And in that quiet, dangerous, beautiful corridor, the two of them stood together, hearts racing, knowing the storm outside was only beginning, but also knowing that for the first time, they didn't have to face it alone. The night stretched ahead, electric and unpredictable. Every whispered word, every brush of skin, every heated glance promised chaos, desire, and emotional revelations they weren't yet ready to fully confront, but would have to. The countdown had ended hours ago, but the real reckoning, the thrill, the fear, the love, was only beginning. The next morning's sunlight spilled through the large windows of the practice room, cutting across the polished floors like a blade. Jungkook sat slumped against the mirrored wall, phone clutched in his hand, staring blankly at the messages that had come in overnight. His reflection was fragmented, half exhaustion, half vulnerability, and half the whirlwind of emotions that Jimin had stirred in him just hours before. Jimin appeared silently in the doorway, leaning casually against the frame, eyes narrowed but calculating. "You're avoiding me," he said, voice low, teasing, but there was an underlying sharpness that made Jungkook flinch. I just need to think," Jungkook muttered, avoiding Jimin's gaze. His fingers tapped nervously against the phone's screen. "Too much happened last night, I caw." Jimin pushed off the doorframe and stepped closer, his presence impossible to ignore. "Think about what, Kookie? About me? About how terrified you are to let anyone see that you're human." His tone was sharp, cutting through Jungkook's haze of guilt and confusion. "You think I don't get it. You think I don't feel it too." Jungkook's lips parted and he opened his mouth to argue, but the words faltered. His heart raced, and the tension between them was so palpable it pressed on his chest like a vice. "It's not that simple," he finally whispered, voice trembling. "If anyone finds out, our fans, the company, everything could fall apart. You don't understand, Jimin. They'll what?" Jimin's voice rose sharply, but his eyes glimmered with something dangerous, protective, defiant. "They'll see the truth. They'll see that we're real, that we feel, that we fight for each other. Kookie, you've been scared for too long. Scared to be honest, scared to admit what you want, scared to feel." The words struck Jungkook like lightning. He wanted to lash out, to deny it, to retreat into the safety of silence, but something in Jimin's gaze, a mixture of challenge and vulnerability, made it impossible. Instead, he swallowed hard and whispered, "And if I do let it out, what then?" Jimin's expression softened just slightly, a flicker of warmth amid the storm. "Then we face it. Together, whatever comes, we face it." His hand reached for Jungkook, brushing against it in a way that sent a jolt through both of them. "I'm not asking for perfect. I'm asking for honesty, for trust. Can you do that?" Jungkook's chest tightened, and he finally looked up, eyes glistening with a mix of fear and longing. I think I can," he whispered, voice barely audible. If you're really with me." "I am," Jimin said, stepping closer, their faces only inches apart. "Always, don't doubt it." His lips hovered near Jungkook's ear, and the heat of his breath made Jungkook shiver uncontrollably. "But you can't keep hiding behind excuses. Not from me. Not anymore." A sudden knock at the practice room door shattered the moment, and both of them jumped slightly. Jungkook's phone vibrated, a message lighting up the screen. He glanced down, heart sinking. The message was from one of the managers. "We need to talk, immediately. Something leaked online." Panic surged through him. His hands shook and he turned to Jimin, who caught his gaze instantly. "What happened?" Jimin asked, a flicker of worry breaking through his composed demeanor. I don't know yet," Jungkook admitted, voice tight. "But it's bad, really bad." Jimin's eyes darkened, his jaw tightening. "Let me handle it," he said, almost growling. Whatever it is, we face it together, but first, I need you to promise me something. Jungkook swallowed hard, fear and anticipation warring inside him. Anything. No more holding back, Jimin said firmly. No more hiding. No more pretending everything's fine when it's not. You tell me everything right now. Every doubt, every fear, every little secret you've been burying. Do you understand? Jungkook hesitated, the weight of the request pressing down on him. But the intensity in Jimin's eyes, the unwavering loyalty, made him nod. I understand. They sat down on the floor, backs pressed against the mirrored wall, the tension between them crackling like electricity. Jungkook spoke first, voice shaking as he poured out months of fear, insecurity, and the unbearable pressure of being constantly watched. Jimin listened in silence, only occasionally pressing a hand to Jungkook's shoulder or squeezing his hand, grounding him through the torrent of emotion. You think I don't notice how hard it is? Jimin said finally, voice low but fierce. Every time you smile on stage, every time you perform like everything's fine, I see you. And it hurts me, Kookie, because I know you're pretending. You don't have to do that with me, ever. Jungkook's breath hitched. I've been so scared of letting anyone in, of losing control. I didn't want to burden you. You never could, Jimin interrupted gently, placing a finger under Jungkook's chin to tilt his face upward. And you never will, because we're in this together, always. The intensity in Jimin's gaze made Jungkook's resolve melt, and he leaned forward instinctively, their foreheads touching, breaths mingling, hearts racing. I don't know what I'd do without you, Jungkook whispered. You'll never have to find out, Jimin replied, lips brushing against Jungkook's temple, a promise wrapped in warmth and heat. I'm not going anywhere, no matter what comes. The phone buzzed again, this time with another message from the manager. Interview footage leaked. Fans are speculating. Be ready. Jungkook's stomach dropped, fear threatening to override the comfort of the moment, but Jimin's hand tightened around his. Whatever happens, Jimin said firmly, voice low, steady, commanding. We face it together. No lies, no running, you and me, Kookie, that's it. Jungkook nodded, swallowing back the surge of panic and letting himself lean completely into Jimin's warmth. Together, he echoed, the word a lifeline, a declaration, a promise. Outside the mirrored walls of the practice room, the world waited, chaotic, intrusive, and relentless. But inside, for a few stolen moments, there was only truth, only desire, only the fragile, electrifying bond between two souls daring to face it all, unshielded and unafraid. The moment Jungkook opened the practice room door, chaos greeted him. Phones flashed like tiny, accusing stars, fans, and reporters outside murmuring feverishly, and the distant hum of cameras tracking every movement made his stomach twist into knots. The leak from last night had spread like wildfire, a private, intimate moment between him and Jimin, now dissected, analyzed, and speculated upon across every platform imaginable. Jimin's hand found his immediately, steadying him as they moved through the throng. Don't let them see you crumble, he murmured, voice low, but there was steel beneath the softness. A protective insistence that made Jungkook cling to him instinctively. We face this together, remember. Jungkook nodded, though the panic in his chest refused to subside. I know, he whispered, eyes darting to every lens pointed at them, every reporter scribbling furiously in their notebooks. But it's everywhere, Jimin. Every comment, every tweet, it's like the whole world's watching. They're saying things about us. Let them, Jimin said firmly, lips brushing Jungkook's temple in a fleeting, fiery touch. They can speculate, they can gossip, but they don't know what we feel. They don't understand. Only I do. Jungkook's breath hitched at the intensity in Jimin's voice, the heat in the way he held him, and the raw vulnerability that still lingered from the previous night. What if they hate me? What if they hate us? His voice cracked, fragile as glass. Jimin's grip tightened, unwavering. Then we prove them wrong, together, and if they try to tear us apart, I'll fight. I'll fight harder than anything they throw at us. You're not facing this alone, Kookie, not ever. The corridor narrowed as they moved toward the waiting car, and Jungkook's mind raced. Each step felt heavy, burdened with both fear and an exhilarating thrill. I can't stop thinking about last night, he admitted suddenly, voice trembling. About you, about me, about how close we were. I want it, Jimin, I can't lie anymore. Jimin's eyes darkened, fierce and hungry, and he leaned closer, letting his forehead brush Jungkook. Then don't lie, he whispered, voice low, almost feral. Don't pretend, don't hide, not from me, not from anyone. His fingers traced Jungkook's jawline, tender but commanding, and Jungkook shivered violently under the touch. I want it too. You have no idea how much I've wanted this, wanted you. The words hit Jungkook with the force of a hurricane. He opened his mouth to respond, but the words stuck, choked by the intensity of Jimin's gaze, by the magnetic pull of the proximity, by the fire that now surged between them. He swallowed, heart hammering, voice barely a whisper. I can't think straight. Then don't think, Jimin said, lips brushing against Jungkook. Teasing, tantalizing, the electricity between them crackling like static in the air. Just feel, let it happen, right here, right now. Jungkook's hands shook as they slid over Jimin's arms, pulling him closer, the heat of their bodies colliding, blending. Every sound, the distant chatter, the hum of equipment, the whispered speculations, faded into nothing. There was only the wild, intoxicating pulse of desire, the almost painful tension that surged in every nerve, every heartbeat. You're reckless, Jungkook gasped, voice trembling with equal parts fear and need as he pressed against Jimin. Everyone's watching if they see us. They already see us, Jimin murmured, teeth grazing Jungkook's ear, sending shivers down his spine. Let them see, let them feel the truth, the fire, the connection. We're not hiding anymore, Cookie. Jungkook moaned softly, heat pooling low in his chest, his body betraying him as much as his heart did. I don't know how much longer I can. Jimin cut him off with a fierce kiss, one that was both claim and comfort, warning and promise, igniting everything that had been smoldering between them. Their hands moved desperately, fingers tangling in hair and clothing, pulling each other closer, trembling with intensity. It was chaotic, raw, and utterly consuming. But amidst the fervor, reality intruded cruelly. A sharp knock on the door, followed by a manager's urgent voice, reminded them both that the outside world was relentless. Jungkook froze, breath ragged, and Jimin's eyes flickered with a mixture of mischief and calculation. We'll finish this later, he whispered, brushing his lips against Jungkook's temple, leaving a lingering heat that made Jungkook ache. The manager barged in, eyes wide, holding a tablet glowing with live feeds and trending hashtags. You two need to explain this, now, the footage. Jimin's hands fell gently from Jungkook's waist, and he straightened, pulling Jungkook with him, a protective barrier as he faced the manager. Calm down, Jimin said, voice icy and controlled, yet every word wrapped in a warning. We're handling it. Step back or you'll regret it. The tension in the room crackled like a live wire. Jungkook's stomach twisted in both fear and exhilaration. His pulse was erratic, heart racing from the intensity of both the private moment and the public storm. I'm with you, he whispered to Jimin, barely audible over the manager's frantic muttering. Jimin's eyes softened slightly, a brief, intimate flicker, and he pressed a hand to Jungkook's shoulder. Always, he murmured, a vow made in the middle of chaos, binding them in both defiance and desire. The manager stepped back, wary now, sensing the unspoken storm between them, the depth of their connection that no threat, no scandal, no rumor could break. Jungkook's gaze met Jimin's, and in that glance, fierce and desperate and unyielding, they understood. The world could try to tear them apart, but nothing, not fear, not speculation, not chaos, would sever what had ignited between them. Even as the phone buzzed with new alerts, new whispers of controversy, the bond between them blazed brighter, unstoppable, a fire that promised both peril and intoxicating, unrestrained passion. Jungkook's hand slid into Jimin's once more, and this time neither flinched, neither hesitated. Whatever came next, they would face it together, wild, unafraid, and burning with a desire that would not be tamed. The office was swarming with urgency, the fluorescent lights overhead harsh against the polished floors, reflecting off the walls like an accusatory glare. Jungkook's palms were slick with sweat as he followed Jimin inside, the weight of every rumor, every leaked clip pressing on him like a physical force. The air was thick with tension, a mixture of fear, adrenaline, and the remnants of last night's heat between them. "You're late," the manager snapped, voice sharp, cutting through the charged atmosphere. "Do you even realize what's happening? The footage, the fans, the media, it's spinning out of control." Jimin didn't flinch. He stepped in front of Jungkook, body slightly shielding him. "We know," he said evenly, a dangerous calm underlying his words. "And we're not going to panic. Not here, not now." The manager's eyes narrowed, scanning Jimin's unreadable expression. "Do you even understand the potential fallout? Sponsors are calling, interviews are being canceled, and—" "I understand perfectly," Jimin interrupted, voice rising just enough to demand attention, eyes blazing. "And right now, all I care about is protecting him." His hand subtly brushed Jungkook's back, grounding him, reminding him that he wasn't alone. Jungkook's stomach fluttered with a mixture of fear, relief, and desire at that small, intimate gesture, so public yet so private. Jungkook swallowed hard, his voice trembling. I didn't mean for it to get out. I couldn't hide anymore. I needed him." He stopped, cheeks burning, unable to say the words aloud, knowing the implications, the scandal they might ignite. Jimin's eyes softened just slightly, but his tone remained firm. "You needed me, Kookie, and nothing they say, nothing the world throws at us can change that. Do you hear me?" The manager huffed, frustration curling in every sharp movement. "You two are reckless. Do you even realize the fans' reactions? Some are supportive, but many are questioning everything. Your loyalty, your professionalism, your image." Jimin's lips curved into a slow, knowing smile, a flicker of mischief in the midst of chaos. "Let them question. Let them wonder. They don't know us. They don't feel what we feel." His voice dropped lower, charged with an intensity that made Jungkook's breath hitch. "But we do." Jungkook felt the pull immediately, the heat between them igniting again, the adrenaline and desire mixing into a dangerous, thrilling cocktail. "Jimin, if they find out, if it gets worse, what will we do?" "We face it," Jimin said firmly, stepping closer, their bodies brushing just enough to send shivers down Jungkook's spine. "Together, no lies, no running. And if anyone tries to use this against us, they'll regret it." Jungkook's heart thudded violently. He could feel Jimin's warmth, the sharp, intoxicating proximity, and the words, the promise, the challenge, the threat wrapped in protection made his pulse soar. I can't lose you," he whispered, voice breaking. "I couldn't survive it." Jimin's fingers brushed Jungkook's cheek, tilting his face toward him, and their eyes locked. "You won't, not ever, but you have to trust me completely. No holding back. Every secret, every fear, every desire. You give it to me, Kookie, all of it." Jungkook's chest heaved, the intensity of the moment overwhelming him. "All of it," he whispered, voice trembling. "All of it," Jimin affirmed, eyes dark and magnetic, drawing him in. The heat, the tension, the desire, they were inevitable, unstoppable, and neither could deny it any longer. Then the door burst open again, and another staff member rushed in, waving a phone wildly. "The fans are posting everywhere. There are hashtags, speculation, interviews. They're asking questions about you too, about asterisk this asterisk." The word hung in the air, heavy with accusation. Jungkook flinched, but Jimin's hand immediately found his, fingers intertwining tightly, grounding him amidst the storm. "Let them talk," Jimin said, voice low, commanding. "We don't answer to anyone but each other. Do you understand?" Jungkook nodded, heart racing, a mix of fear and excitement clawing through him. I understand," he breathed. Jimin leaned closer, lips just brushing Jungkook's ear, a teasing, electrifying whisper. "Good, because no matter what happens out there in the chaos and the scandal, here with me, you're safe and wanted. Do you feel that, Kookie?" Yes," Jungkook admitted, voice breaking, trembling with relief, longing, and desire. "I feel it. I've never felt it like this before." Jimin's grin was slow, almost dangerous, but filled with undeniable heat. "Then stop hiding it," he said, voice low, almost a growl. "Stop pretending everything's fine when it's not. I want all of you asterisk Jungkook. Fear, desire, doubt, everything. No exceptions." The manager cleared his throat, uneasy, sensing the storm in the room, the unspoken electricity between the two of them. Are you two going to handle this, or? Jimin's eyes flicked back to the staff member, calm yet feral. We'll handle it, he said, but you step back, this is ours. The air between them seemed to sizzle as Jungkook pressed closer, drawn in by Jimin's fierce presence, their bond deepening with every word, every touch, every stolen glance. Fear, desire, scandal, they were all intertwined now, inescapable and undeniable. Jungkook whispered, almost breathless, I don't know how I survived before you. You don't have to, Jimin murmured, lips brushing his, a promise of fire, protection, and passion. Because now you won't, not ever. Outside the office, the world erupted in speculation, chaos, and rumors. But inside, the two of them stood unyielding, tethered together by desire, trust, and a passion that no scandal could touch. They had crossed a threshold, united not just by love, but by fire, by defiance, by the unshakable certainty that whatever came next, they would face it together. The day began with a storm, though the sky outside was deceptively clear. Jungkook sat in the waiting room, fingers drumming nervously on his knees, the buzzing of his phone relentless. Every notification was a knife twisting in his chest. Leaks, fan speculations, screenshots, rumors. The world was spinning, opinions colliding, and all he wanted was to escape, to hide somewhere with Jimin and feel safe, unseen. Jimin entered the room moments later, eyes sharp, yet his calm exterior barely masked the tension radiating from him. You've been staring at your phone for hours, he said, voice low, but tinged with irritation and concern. Stop feeding the chaos. It'll only eat you alive. I can't help it, Jungkook admitted, shoulders slumping. Everywhere I look, it's like they're tearing us apart, saying things, horrible things about you, about me, about us. His voice cracked, eyes glistening. I don't know how to deal with it. Jimin's gaze softened, and he crouched to meet Jungkook at eye level, placing a firm hand on his knee. Then lean on me, he said simply, voice low, almost intimate. You don't have to handle this alone, not ever, and don't you dare apologize for needing me. Jungkook's chest tightened at the words. I don't deserve you, he whispered, voice barely audible. All of this, the leaks, my panic, the way I lose control. You deserve me more than anyone, Jimin countered sharply, fingers brushing against Jungkook's wrist. Especially because you're afraid, because you're vulnerable, because you feel so damn deeply. That's why I'm here. His eyes softened again, a flicker of warmth in the storm. Now look at me, Kookie. I'm not going anywhere. Not for a rumor, not for a scandal, not for anyone. Jungkook exhaled shakily, the first real relief in hours, yet the tension wasn't gone. It's worse than I thought, he admitted. The fans, they're split. Some are supportive, yes, but many are calling us unprofessional, saying we're too reckless, that we don't care about the image, the company. I feel like I'm failing you. Jimin's hand slid over Jungkook's, thumb stroking lightly, grounding him. No, he said firmly, voice both soothing and commanding. You're not failing me, you're human, and I want every part of your humanity, all the fear, the doubt, the need, and yes, even the desire. Jungkook's head fell into his hands, the weight of everything pressing down on him, but Jimin leaned closer, pressing a gentle kiss to his temple. And if anyone has a problem with it, he whispered, voice low, dangerous, then let them, because what we have, no one can touch. The door burst open suddenly, and a staff member rushed in, flustered and red-faced. You need to go live for a statement. There's backlash online. Viewers are demanding answers about your relationship. Jungkook froze, panic surging anew. Live now, he stammered. I've got you, Jimin interrupted, his hand sliding over Jungkook's back in a reassuring, grounding touch. We'll do it together, but first, stop panicking, take a breath, look at me, breathe through me. Jungkook swallowed, feeling the heat from Jimin's body and the security in his presence. I don't know if I can. You can, Jimin said firmly, tilting Jungkook's chin upward so their eyes met. Because you won't be doing it alone, and I'll be right there every second. The staff ushered them into the interview room, cameras blinking, lights glaring. The moment they stepped in, Jungkook felt exposed, his heart hammering violently. The host leaned forward, smile professional but eyes sharp. Jungkook, Jimin, fans are speculating about your closeness. Care to comment? Jungkook froze, but Jimin's hand found his again, gripping it tightly, a silent promise. We're not going to hide who we are, Jimin said, voice steady, magnetic, unwavering. What fans see isn't the whole story, but it's ours. And we won't apologize for being honest, for feeling, for existing fully. The words hit Jungkook with a mix of awe and relief. He felt Jimin's warmth, the electricity between them, and the courage within him grew. We're together, Jungkook whispered, voice trembling, eyes locked on Jimin's. And we're stronger together. The room went silent for a moment, the energy palpable. Jimin's eyes darkened and his hand squeezed Jungkook firmly. We'll face every rumor, every accusation, every backlash together. And if anyone thinks they can break us, his lips brushed against Jungkook's ear, a teasing, heated whisper. They're wrong. Jungkook shivered, warmth pooling low in his chest, desire and relief intertwined. I trust you, he admitted, voice fragile but honest. Completely. And I'll never let you down, Jimin murmured, pressing a lingering kiss to Jungkook's temple. Not now, not ever. Outside the studio, the world raged, opinions collided, and speculation ran rampant, but inside there was only them, bonded by fire, by desire, by a fierce, unbreakable trust. Jungkook's fingers intertwined with Jimin as the cameras rolled, and in that moment no scandal, no rumor, no fear could shake them. They had crossed a line and neither wanted to turn back. The heat, the tension, the passion, they were unstoppable, dangerous, and intoxicating. Every glance, every touch, every word between them ignited something deeper, something undeniable, something that would not be hidden, no matter the storm raging outside. The night was electric, city lights flickering like stars pulled into the gravity of the chaos surrounding them. Jungkook and Jimin stood side by side on the rooftop of their agency building, wind tugging at their hair, hearts racing not from the climb, but from everything that had led them here. The rumors, the leaks, the accusations, the storm of scrutiny that had tested them like fire. Jungkook's hands trembled slightly as he gripped the railing, but Jimin's hand found his immediately, fingers intertwining, grounding him, tethering him to reality, to safety, to a truth that no scandal could tarnish. We made it, Jimin whispered, voice soft but charged, eyes shining with both relief and heat. Through all of it, we're still standing, together. Jungkook exhaled shakily, leaning slightly against Jimin. I don't know how I survived without you, he admitted, voice breaking but honest. Every day, every moment, I was scared. Scared of losing you, scared of everyone judging us, scared of feeling this completely. You don't have to be scared anymore, Jimin said, tilting Jungkook's chin up, lips brushing his in a lingering, heated kiss. I'm not going anywhere. Not now, not ever. You're mine, Kookie, every piece, every fear, every desire, and I'm yours. The wind whipped around them, carrying away the echoes of the city, leaving only the pulse of their connection, fierce and unyielding. Jungkook's body pressed against Jimin's, their foreheads touching, breaths mingling, hearts beating in a rhythm that belonged solely to them. I trust you, Jungkook whispered, trembling, the confession raw and unguarded. I know, Jimin murmured, hand sliding to cup Jungkook's face, thumbs brushing over flushed skin. And I'll always protect that trust. Always. No one can touch what we have, not the media, not the rumors, not even fear itself. Jungkook's lips curved into a small, shaky smile, and he pressed his body closer, hands clutching Jimin as if holding on could make the moment eternal. I don't want this to end, he admitted, voice soft, almost vulnerable. Us, it feels right, more than anything. Then it won't end, Jimin said, a smirk teasing the corners of his mouth despite the gravity of the moment. Not now, not ever, because we've faced the storm, Kookie, and we came out stronger. And I don't just want you, I need you, every single part of you. The city below them sparkled like a battlefield of lights, rumors, and judgment. But up here, there was only clarity, only truth, only a bond forged through fear, passion, and undeniable love. Jungkook pressed his forehead against Jimin, whispering, I love you. Jimin smiled, warmth and fire in his eyes. I love you too, more than you'll ever know, and I'll show you every day. They kissed again, slow, heated, consuming, letting the world fall away. The leaks, the rumors, the controversies, they existed, yes, but none of it mattered here on this rooftop with the wind whipping around them, hearts exposed, souls entwined. They had survived everything, every scandal, every fear, every doubt, and in that survival they had found each other, fiercely, completely, undeniably. As fireworks erupted in the distance, mirroring the chaos that had once threatened to destroy them, Jungkook and Jimin held each other tightly, a silent vow passing between them. No matter what storms the world threw their way, they would face them together, unafraid, untamed, and unstoppable. The night air was electric with possibility, with desire, with love that had been tested, scorched, and ultimately forged into something unbreakable. And in that perfect, fleeting, eternal moment, Jungkook and Jimin finally understood what it meant to be truly seen, truly safe, and truly loved, by each other and by no one else. They stepped back slightly, hands still intertwined, eyes meeting in a gaze heavy with unspoken promises, laughter, and lingering desire. "We did it," Jungkook murmured, voice trembling. "We did," Jimin replied, brushing a strand of hair from Jungkook's face, lips curling into a teasing, confident smile. "And this is just the beginning." Above the city, the fireworks blazed, bright, unstoppable, and alive. And so were they.